If you have ever tried your hardest and still could not provide for the people you love, this is for you. Let me tell you about a man named Andrew. Andrew was not lazy. He was not a bad man. He loved his wife and his children more than anything in this world. But there was a season in his life where no matter what he did, there was never enough. There were nights he watched his children go to bed hungry, and he sat in the dark after they fell asleep, and he asked God one question. God, how long? He prayed every single day. He showed up every single day. And for a long time, nothing changed. But there was one night when Andrew was at the lowest point he had ever been in his life, and he made one small decision, and that decision changed everything. That is where this story begins. Andrew had a wife named Clara and 2 young children. They lived in a small house that needed more repairs than they could afford. He had lost his job 8 months earlier when the small company he worked for shut down without warning. He had spent every day since then looking for work. He knocked on doors. He followed up on every lead he heard about. He took any small job he could find just to bring something home. But it was never enough. There were weeks the only food in the house was what their neighbors quietly left at the door. There were mornings Clara made tea and pretended it was breakfast so the children would not ask questions. Andrew saw everything. He saw how hard his wife was trying to hold things together. He saw how she smiled at the children during the day and cried quietly at night when she thought he was asleep. And every single night he got on his knees and prayed the same prayer. God, I am not asking for much. I am just asking for enough. Please, just enough. But the months kept passing and enough never seemed to come. By the 8th month, Andrew had started to go quiet in a way that worried Clara. Not angry quiet, just empty quiet, like something inside him was slowly running out. He stopped talking about plans. He stopped saying things will get better. He just moved through each day like a man who was running on the last little bit of faith he had left. The night everything changed started like every other night. The children were in bed. Clara was asleep. Andrew was sitting at the kitchen table in the dark with nothing in front of him. No food, no money, no plan, just a man and a table, and a silence so heavy he could feel it pressing on his chest. And something happened in that moment that Andrew could not fully explain later. He said it was not a voice. It was not a dream. It was just a feeling, a quiet nudge that told him to get up and write down every skill he had, every single thing he knew how to do, no matter how small or how ordinary it seemed. He almost did not do it. He was tired, and he had been disappointed too many times to get excited about anything, but something made him get up and find a piece of paper and a pen and sit back down and start writing. He wrote for almost an hour, and when he looked at what he had written, he saw something he had never seen before. He had spent years working for other people, doing things he actually knew how to do very well, fixing things, building things, working with his hands, and he had never once thought about doing those things for himself. The next morning, Andrew woke up before sunrise and walked to the nearest market and offered to fix a broken stall for free, just to show what he could do. The stall owner watched him work, and by the time he was finished, there were 2 other traders waiting to ask him about their own repairs. He charged a small fee. It was not much, but it was something. And something was more than nothing. He came home that evening and put money on the table for the first time in months, and Clara looked at it and looked at him and started crying without saying a word. That was the beginning. It did not happen overnight. There were still hard days after that night. Still mornings when things were uncertain and the old fear tried to creep back in. But Andrew kept going. He kept showing up. He kept using what was already in his hands instead of waiting for something to fall from the sky. And slowly things began to change. 1 job became 2. 2 became a small reputation in the community. A reputation became more work than he could handle alone. He hired 1 person, then 2, then 5. 3 years after that night at the kitchen table, Andrew had a small but growing business, and his children had never gone to bed hungry since. He never forgot that night. He talked about it for the rest of his life. Not because of what he decided to do, but because of what made him get up in the first place. He always said the same thing when people asked him how he turned things around. He said, "God did not send me money that night. He sent me a nudge, and I almost ignored it." If you are watching this right now and you are sitting in your own version of that kitchen, tired and empty and out of ideas, I want you to hear what Andrew learned. God sees you. He has not forgotten you, but sometimes the blessing is not coming from outside. Sometimes it is already inside you, waiting for you to be desperate enough to use it. Get up. Write down what you know. Use what is already in your hands. Because the night you feel like you have nothing left might be the exact night God is waiting to show you everything you already have.